Hello, I have to apologize because some technical problem and half hours ago I was trying to, make a live stream on Instagram and also have an interview with Izabela. But what's very interesting, what happened was Izabela couldn't receive my invitation, so she called me, and I was feel quite wondering. So then she called me, then it turned it into phone call. So me and Izabela was like very happy talking about the solar eclipse for really a half hour interesting conversation, but it's not recorded and it's not podcast. It's so funny. Anyway, let me invite Izabela this time and I hope it will happen, okay? Let's see, is this right? I'm not sure, but let's see, okay?
Hi.
I think we are on.
It's really eclipse experience.
We are totally eclipsed. We are totally big eclipse out and talk. We're so happy. We're chatting for half hour. We just like keep talking for half hour, and I was like so inspiring, so great. And when I'm going to post it, say no, only 2 minutes. I said, what's wrong? Well, so this one. I'm sorry, everyone, because it's about dinner time for Izabela and for me too. But we will still deliver our message, but cut it short. Okay?
Sure.
So the first, well, we were talking about the eclipse. I think let's ignore the astronomy part. Let's go directly to what does eclipse mean in astrology for us? Okay.
That's my notes. I throw it to the bin.
What a Scorpio moment. What a Scorpio moment. You have to take something back.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, we've been talking about the eclipse and what everybody is talking now, that the Scorpio is the very strange sign, which isn't true, because eclipse is a very energetic moment of the year, and we could, whenever it is Scorpio, Gemini, etc., it's a very it's an energy from outside that is pressing on us. So it could be felt that during the eclipse, and it's not only yesterday, this eclipse, the influence will last 1-2 weeks until the next full moon and lunar eclipse. And this is why we have to, observe each other, observe ourselves first of all, because this is the time when we could see something new in ourselves, seems new abilities, new interest, new hobby, or maybe some new skills that we forgot about, because as we know, Scorpio is about gaining the knowledge from insight, from meditation, from some wisdom that comes from relationships. So you don't have to learn the encyclopedia by heart. But you have to be focused on your emotions, because Scorpio eclipse, it's about getting being more secure, being more open to your intimacy, and to be less about taboo and more about being, strict about be more sincere about yourself.
It's very beautiful, because I think this solar eclipse and also is a new moon, is a very important new moon, but it's solar eclipse happened in the Scorpio. So let us focus on the Scorpion theme. But also I like your approach as a new moon. It's still a new moon, so it's a new beginning. It's a new approach. So that you suggest us go to this area with a different view of like a fresh view, and to keep it, to start it. But it's also, I think, in our previous conversation, last half hour, I think we also focus on one thing very interesting, and I want to bring it back about very short conversation about it is this eclipse will happen with the Venus right next to Sun and Moon. And what could we expect from this point of view?
It's been very peculiar situation these days, because on Saturday we've had Sun Venus conjunction in Libra, where Sun was very weak, in a very weak position by sign, but Venus was very strong, because Venus in Libra is very strong because it's her sign. And a few days ago, during the eclipse, the sun solar eclipse, the Venus gets to be very debilitated in the opposite sign from his reign, from his lordship, ladyship, and the Sun is slightly stronger, which means that Venus now is a ruler, lady of this eclipse, and it means that we are more focused on relationships, and we are more focused on financial and material security. And this is important for us because Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, is very fragile, it's very vulnerable, especially in relationships, especially in different kind of deals, career deals, money deals. So, and we are told from all the sides, or all the media sides, that we have to be careful about money, about energy, about we don't know what the future will bring for us. And this solar eclipse on Venus in Scorpio. It reminds us that it's not the other people, not the external world that gives us safety and security. And if we are not secure ourselves, we are not feel this harmony and this inner peace, like Kung Fu Panda, nobody will bring us this kind of feeling, and that's very easy to say, but we have to try, because we have to try. The eclipse season just began, and we have the next eclipse, lunar eclipse, in 2 weeks. So these 2 weeks are very fruitful for us if we will be more independent financially, emotionally, and we carefully choose what is right for us in relationships and in money decisions, in career, because it's easy to follow the rules, but now we have to establish our own rules for our own safety, not to get crazy about with all this information and news and etc.
Wow, that is so interesting, because I think the Venus, especially when Venus is right next to the Sun and Moon, as you mentioned, is become a ruler of this eclipse. And then especially we careful with the Venus theme, but it's also, I think we can hear the tone of the Venus in Scorpio. It's still with, feel insecure in the financial area, in the relationship area, or maybe like a social active. It's very interesting because you also combine these lunation. So what starts in the new moon, for some fast events, for some event doesn't need a long time to develop it will have a result around the full moon. And yes. So this kind of when it beginning with the Sun Moon conjunct with Venus in the 2 degrees Scorpio, and when it comes to the full moon, when Sun Moon opposites in the mid of Scorpio and Taurus, Venus still stick around, still right next to it. So
yeah, and Saturn and Uranus will be more powerful in the next 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, so new moon and solar eclipse is about bringing something new, feel something, hear something, encounter the new opportunity. But after 2 weeks, it will be very quick result, what we felt, what we did this week. So it's very important week because we have to observe, we have to meditate, we have to, you know, connect different areas of our life. Because in 2 weeks it could be a very quick result, and we could see more clearly what it will bring us. These 2 eclipses, not only just one, this from yesterday. And of course, this full moon and lunar eclipse in 2 weeks will be more, you know, more draining, more exhausting, because Venus in Scorpio, but still it's Venus. In 2 weeks, more it will be more Saturn and Uranus influence, which means we would be forced in 2 weeks to decide what is more up to us, what is more less dangerous, maybe less uncomfortable for us in 2 weeks.
Well, that is so interesting, because looks like from the chart we can see, well, for the new moon and the eclipse is pretty simple, but when it comes to the full moon lunar eclipse, everyone get involved, all the planets get involved, especially you mentioned about the Saturn square. Pluto is also the big event for since last year, and it's continued to this one, and still hit by this lunar eclipse. Well, I like your take about, because we should not ignore the reality what happened around this world. And we know, well, most of us, especially in Europe, to be honest, especially in Europe, we are facing the energy crisis, we are facing the inflation. So all these things the lunar eclipse can show us that result would be a huge change. And then I like it. I like what you say. Solar eclipse as a new moon, as a new beginning, and is the starting point. So maybe we can take some action to try something.
Yes, maybe. But you know, we have to act carefully, because it's a Scorpio and Taurus. So we have to choose what is best for us to gain this stability in life, to get this harmony, and to be more physically safe. So it's not about big ideas, big I don't know, meetings online. It's more do something for you here and now. And because Taurus lunar eclipse is more physical than the Scorpio one, so it's good to be safe with your money, with your close relationships, and also don't freak out, because during eclipse season, your way people's newspapers, etc., sites are exaggerating about everything. It's more to stay to the earth and, you know, be reasonable about your decisions, especially concerning money and relationships. So well, don't stamp somebody over one text message.
That is so important, to be honest. That is a really important message, because, as you say, this is a new moon, and the full moon is Scorpio and the Taurus, and their quality is granted. They are fixed sign, especially Taurus. I think also Scorpio. They are really related to material world, to take, to protect, and to gather around, and to think deeply, rather than, oh, I have this idea, I want to do this, I want to do that, so let's go. And it's like, oh, crazy, oh, we're metal. And I also like your idea, because it's not only about yes, it's very important to be stable, to be careful, but also I like the message you bring in the beginning. I cannot to ignore that message, is bring your own inner peace. That would be bring your own inner peace. That would be extremely important, because without that inner peace, you don't hold your center, then that would be, you know, everything happen, you were like, oh, what should I do, you know, that would be pretty intriguing.
It's not about, you know, cooking something good, stay home with your friends or loved ones, and go do something real. That's important, because eclipse, it's not about doing very, you know, overwhelming things. It's more, it's about doing everyday job as more comfortable as you can, and it will work, because it's Taurus. You have to, you know, take control over your everyday life, and it will help you to not freak out about the big issues, about money, about emotions, etc.
Wow, thank you so much, Izabela. I mean, thank you. Today I bothered you for totally 1 hour. I'm really sorry for that technical problem. And
it's okay.
but it's a very interesting experience, because even for us, it's an eclipse experience, a total eclipse experience.
The most famous eclipse I remember, immediate effect of solar eclipse. It was a few years ago during the Oscars gala, when the final prize were misplaced. The verdict was misplaced, and it was announced other film that gained the role. It was La La Land, who didn't get the main prize, but the other film, the other movie, and it was really, really, you know, it was crazy. It was
that is interesting.
Exactly a solar eclipse.
And I think today's experience will also become a highlight of our life. We will always remember when we're doing the eclipse clip and we've been eclipsed. Wow, it's just lovely to talk to you, and you know, that is so interesting. Izabela always brings us some very, very profound message, and that is like so rich. Thank you, Izabela. Well, because I think we have to cut it short, to be honest, because we talk about 1 hour, nearly 1 hour. We are just a little bit overwhelmed. But before we go, I have to announce next week will be the Fernanda Hitchcock Star to join us, talk about next week's transit. And I'm expecting, I'm not sure, I'm expecting Fernanda talking about a little bit about Brazilian president election, because that would be also a surprise. And I just noticed, Izabela, do you notice the American midterm election is happening on the Lunar Eclipse day?
I have no idea about this.
8th of November.
Congress, because they have every 2 years. But nobody cares unless
that would be very interesting. That would be very interesting. We have our Prime Minister become Prime Minister on the solar eclipse, and the United States have their midterm election on the lunar eclipse. What a surprise moment. Wow.
Italian elections in Italy recently, but I don't know if they managed to form the government.
I don't know. So. Yeah, the right wing, the very right wing, very right wing.
I'm not surprised, because they you know, after the pandemic, they are really so. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Izabela. So have a nice evening. Well, bye. See everyone.
Bye.